Good morning. Welcome to our Thursday TNT, and a big thanks to our sponsors, 5 Star Marine. Big thanks to you for your support and your ongoing subscriptions. You're here to find out what's happening around Thailand, so let's get started. We start with Thai PBS World, and they're reporting a continuing contraction in Thailand's exports, a major challenge for the new government. And that's come from the KRC. And who's the KRC, you ask? Well, Thailand's continuing export contraction, now in its 7th consecutive month, with April down by 7.6% year on year, will pose a real challenge for the new government, according to the Capricorn Research Centre. The centre attributed the slide to the global economic slowdown, putting pressure on purchasing by Thailand's major customers, including the United States, Japan and the Eurozone. The centre did point to a positive sign for Thai exports to China, which are expanding by about 23% year on year due to the economic recovery in China after 10 months of contraction. And the KRC noted there are other negative factors such as geopolitical conflicts, currency fluctuations and unfavourable climate conditions, which may continue to dampen sentiment. And the centre predicted that overall Thai exports for this year will shrink by 1.2%. So exports on the wane, and that's been for 7 consecutive months. Let's check out what it says about imports. Imports during the same 7 months totaled some 23 billion baht. Now that's a drop of 7.3% year on year, and total exports for the first 4 months of this year was a drop of 5.2%. So it has been consistent over those months, an average of 5.2% for the first 4 months this year. And down the bottom there, cross-border trade for April increased by 14.2%. So at least the cross-border trade with the partners immediately adjacent to Thailand seems to be holding up. Moving on to our next story now, and this from the PattayaNews.com, and it reports Her Royal Majesty, the Queen's birthday, is this weekend in Thailand. I think they've overcooked the heading a little bit. Just Her Majesty the Queen would have done, I think. The Bureau of the Royal Household invites the public to express their well wishes to Her Majesty the Queen on the occasion of her birthday on June the 3rd. Now, that's this Saturday. What actually will happen is that although the public holiday is officially on Saturday, there will be a holiday in lieu on Monday. So next Monday will be officially a public holiday around Thailand to celebrate Her Majesty the Queen's birthday. Well-wishers can sign an online book via the agency's website, royaloffice.th, from June the 2nd to the 4th, if you feel so inclined. Moving on to our next story now, and also from the PattayaNews.com. Pattaya Harbour Office says boat traffic has fully recovered from COVID-19. So let's check out the photo they used to exemplify this huge rise in traffic. Photo of Pattaya Bay with not a boat in sight. Yes. So the Pattaya Regional Harbour Office has informed the Pattaya News and other local media that boat traffic going to and from local islands for tourism has fully recovered since the COVID-19 pandemic as of this month, driven by the return of Chinese tourism earlier this year and increased domestic Thai tourism. Boat traffic at the Bali High Pier is now at 100%. And I think they need the word compared in there, so compared to where it was before COVID-19, according to the director of the Pattaya Regional Harbour Office. And he said that the majority of excursions were to Koh Lan and expected the boat traffic in Pattaya Bay to continue to increase, noting that domestic tourism from Thai tourists had risen dramatically since the COVID-19 pandemic in Pattaya and was expected to continue to accelerate. And Pattaya is also planning to make some major improvements to the Bali High Pier, as seen here. Oh, I'm excited. I wonder what they are. Nothing. Just another photo of an empty Pattaya Bay. So, seems to be a few mix-ups with the photos at the PattayaNews.com, but we do look forward to see those improvements at the Bali High Pier, as it's the major jump-off point for people who are in Pattaya heading out to the islands and other points beyond. Moving on to our next story now, and from the Bangkok Post, the Pita case could force a new poll. So a bit of a worst case scenario, just in case things don't go well during the hearing into his alleged media shareholdings. Details of shareholding violation complaints against the Move Forward Party leader will decide his fate and determine if the May 14 general election is nullified. And that's according to the Caretaker Deputy PM Wisanu Kriyanam, who is a legal expert and a veteran politician here in Thailand. He was responding to questions about the possible scenarios if the Constitutional Court rules against Pita, who holds 42,000 shares in ITV, an independent broadcaster founded in the 1990s, since defunct and then consumed by the larger Thai PBS. And a candidate is constitutionally barred from contesting an election if he or she owns stakes in a media company. The Election Commission has started a probe into the shareholding complaints against Mr Pita, who is the party's list MP and the Prime Ministerial candidate. But it does get a little bit more complicated. Let's check out the implications. The complaints are calling into question Mr Pita's status as an MP and as the future Prime Minister, with speculation growing that it might affect the fate of all Move Forward Party candidates. Here are two scenarios set out by the Bangkok Post. If the petition targets only his status as an MP, he could assume the Prime Ministerial post despite being disqualified because the Prime Minister is not legally required to be an MP. As with Prayut Chan-o-cha, he was an outsider who was just recruited after the election. He didn't run as an MP, but was able to assume the role of Prime Minister anyway. And if the complaints involve Mr Pita's prime ministerial qualifications, he could still be an MP, adding that if the complaints touch on both issues, the court would rule on them, which could affect Mr Pita's endorsement of election candidates in the May 14 poll. Then asked what would happen, he said there could be a new nationwide general election. Now, obviously that would be a major progression in this story, and if there was another poll, there'd be a lot of very unhappy Thais, and there could be even more retribution in the polling booth. And meanwhile, when asked about Mr Wisanu's comments, Mr Pita on Wednesday said he's not worried about the petitions and the party is prepared to deal with the situation. The Move Forward Party leader said there is time for him to clarify the allegations and he's not seen the details of the complaints. Meanwhile, in the background, the cogs of the caretaker government continue to whirl, and this reported by the National News Bureau of Thailand, which of course is run by the government, and it says the caretaker government highlights the current economic and fiscal management. In other words, Prayut saying, I'm still here, I'm still running things. And the caretaker Prime Minister, General Prayut Chan-o-cha, recently discussed the current economic situation and fiscal administration in Thailand. And it goes on to say the first quarter report for 2023 noted an uptick in employment, an improvement in weekly work hours, and a steady unemployment rate of just over 1%. Notably, household debt is on the decline. And the story goes on to say, amid persisting uncertainties in the political and fiscal spheres following the general election, the caretaker Premier, reassured the situation is under vigilant observation. He also emphasised that Thailand's financial standing remains robust, backed by strong international conditions. Really? And a comprehensive macroeconomic policy framework. Yes, and so we do thank our sponsors, 5 Star Marine. There's a special deal for viewers of TNT if you'd like to click on the link below. Don't forget this weekend on Saturday we'll have our roundup or our weekly episode of what's happening with the new hotel, resort, whatever you want to call it. And on Sunday, of course, we'll have Grumpy Old Men. TNT on a Thursday, and glad to report a bit drier than it has been the last few days, but heading to Phuket, and the Bangkok Post reporting that Phuket curbs visa overstays. And the story says Phuket's acclaimed crime-free project. I'm not sure who acclaimed it, but the project has proved successful with over 1,000 foreigners caught overstaying their visas. With the cooperation of 800 accommodation providers on the resort island, the Phuket Immigration Office has endorsed crime-free measures which allow businesses to inform police of any suspicious activities involving foreign guests. And the Phuket Immigration chief yesterday said the number of foreign guests registered at accommodation in Phuket over the last 2 months was over 20% higher than the number of foreign tourists who had arrived in Phuket during that period. Obviously that would be a little bit suspect. He said that during May 1st to the 25th, immigration police raided 1,550 target locations in Phuket and arrested 11 foreigners who had overstayed their visas and another 4 people who had entered Thailand illegally. Well, no wonder you can't get your visas processed at the moment. They're all out chasing ne'er-do-wells who have overstayed their visas. According to the Immigration Bureau's Information Technology Centre, 1,050 foreigners had overstayed their visas. Of those, 391 were not staying at their reported accommodation and 228 had since left Thailand. The story goes on to say that some 331 tourists had requested to extend their visas, 109 had reportedly died, one was bedridden and the other had received Thai citizenship. Well, that's a radical way to extend your stay in Thailand. Both very expensive and I would have thought would have taken longer than a few months. He said anyone with information about tourists overstaying their visas or breaching the law in other ways could submit it to the Phuket Immigration Office or the Traffy Fondue application. Whoever came up with that name, Traffy Fondue, deserves an award. Not sure if it translates into anything in Thai. Anyway, to some lighter news, and we go to Coconuts Bangkok from the coconuts.co. Major group to launch iPet Cinema on June the 10th. So you can take your pet to the cinema. File this under services you didn't know you needed. The mega movie theatre operator Major Group, in collaboration with iTail Corporation, will roll out permanent theatres that will allow you and your furry friends to watch a movie together. I would have thought that you could do that at home. Anyway, that's right, starting June the 10th, the group will launch the iTail Pet Cinema. It's going to be at the Mega Cineplex, Mega Bang Na, Eastville Cineplex and Major Cineplex Robinson's Ratchapruk on weekends only. And pets must be healthy and vaccinated, over 4 months old, must be small or weigh no more than 15 kilograms. Well, I think that chonky cat that landed on the back of that MG smashing the windscreen will be precluded from that list. We can only imagine how your viewing pleasure will be impacted by the yelps, howls and meows of your fellow moviegoers. And for the safety and comfort of the animals, the cinema says it will reduce sound and lighting effects by 30%, but provided no explanation of how stressful it can be for pets to remain in their bags while watching big screens for over 2 hours. It's going to cost 99 baht. So 99 baht presumably for the pet only. Sure, take your pet along and the poor thing will be stressed out of its brain just so you can get a few snappy Instagram photos for your page. But good luck, we'll see how it goes. Just be aware if you are going to any of those cinemas, make sure you pick the one that doesn't have the pets in it. Thanks for watching today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. Hope you're keeping dry wherever you are around Thailand. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.